August 17th, and I want to welcome you to tonight's Columbus, Wisconsin City Council meeting. Our Deputy City Clerk, Jane Foodie, is with us tonight, and she will take the roll.
All right. Here. Arnold.
Here.
Gray.
Present.
McCabe. Here. Motive.
Present.
Pifero.
Here.
Reed. Here.
If you are able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this meeting has been noticed in accordance with state statutes and local ordinances. And I need somebody, I'm looking for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I will make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Gray will second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve tonight's agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So moving on, correspondence and communications. Has anybody signed up to speak tonight? Oh, okay. Paula Steiner. Welcome. It doesn't look like a face to me. but
Hi,
whatever.
yay!
So you know to state your name and address, right?
Paula Steiner, 442 West James Street. I want to thank the opportunity to speak in front of you guys today. I'm here under public comment as a part of the chamber. We are in the process of starting to plan the Stop, Shop, and Sip that is hosted every Small Business Saturday, and I kind of just wanted to let you guys know that we planned on moving forward with it unless there were any concerns from council members, which I know it can't be a back and forth, but I think everyone here knows how to reach me if there are any concerns.
When is it planned for this year?
So it's Small Business Saturday, so this year that falls on November 27th. We are going to be doing a theme of the Roaring Twenties.
Ooh.
My favorite era.
So is that the Saturday after Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, that would fall right there.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much for reminding us of that, and keep us posted.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. And is anyone else signed up? Or is that's it for tonight? Okay. So now we're moving on to the consent agenda. And I am looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Gabe seconds.
So it has been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The motion carries. Okay, new business. We need to consider my appointment to the library board. I am recommending that we appoint Dana Pike to the library board. Her term will expire in 2024. So I am looking for a motion.
Alder Gray will move to approve mayoral appointment Dana Pike to the library board.
Reed seconds.
Okay, is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Dana is now on the library board. Item number 2 under new business is to consider and take action on awarding a bid for crack sealing. This is something that we talked about at the Committee of the Whole. Did you have any more information that you wanted to present on that, Kyle? Or
No, I think it's pretty much explanatory as presented before.
okay. So I'm looking for a motion on awarding this bid.
Read motions to award the 2021 crack sealing bid to American Pavement Solutions.
Alder Motive will second.
So is there any discussion on this item? Okay. All those, or do we need, would this be a roll call? Okay, so we'll do a roll call.
Reed? Aye. Otis?
Aye.
Gray?
Aye.
McCabe? Aye. Pifero?
Aye.
Albright?
So the motion passes. And item number 3 is to consider and take action on awarding the bid for street repair for the 2021 street repair program. And again, this is something we've discussed before. I'm looking for a motion. Kyle, you don't, okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Sarah?
Alder Motive will make a recommendation to award the 2021 street sealing contract to Northeast Asphalt, Inc.
And just a quick correction, that one, I know it's a typo in the packet, it says street, they'll be repairing the street, not just sealing it. Just so we know that what we're voting on for sure. But I'll second that motion.
Okay.
With the correction.
So is there any discussion on this item? And so it has been moved and seconded that we approve the bid for the 2021 street repair program as stated, and this would be another one we'd want to do a roll call on.
Motive?
Aye.
Gray?
Aye.
McCabe? Pifero?
Aye.
Reed? Albright?
Okay, motion passes. Item number 4 is to consider and take action on state municipal financial agreement and property acquisition plans for the State Highway 89 project. We do have some updated numbers, and so I am, again, looking for a motion. And did you want to say anything about that, Kyle?
No, just in case there was any questions, so again, third revision, it's kind of in advance of the bidding that we expect to take place early next year. Project is still on pace to happen next year, so hopefully everything continues to go well. This was, the change was some additional language for hazardous materials costs, as well as a credit for some tree removal that the city is going to be doing in advance of the project to help the timeline. Overall city cost is about $391,000 for the non-utility portion, and then between the utilities, they have just under 1.1 million of cost in this project, but the state has also a very significant portion that they're picking up. So the second part is that they needed to add a parcel for some stormwater management, and so the second portion is authorizing the offering price report that's included. The process is that the city pays up front to acquire the property, and then the DOT reimburses us later. And we're still within the overall SMA allocation for acquisition, so the reimbursement should not be an issue.
Thank you, Kyle. So I'm looking for a motion to take action.
I'll make a motion to approve revision number 3 of the state municipal financial agreement and approve the offering price report as submitted.
Alder Gray will second that.
Is there any discussion before we go to a vote? Okay. So it has been moved and seconded that we approve the revised state municipal financial agreement and property acquisition plan as stated. So we'll do a roll call on this also.
Pifero?
Aye.
Gray?
Aye.
Motive?
Aye.
Reed? Albright? McCabe?
So motion passes. The next one is to consider and take action on the date and time for trick or treating. And we talked about this a little bit last time too. I see in my packet there's a question mark after the time frame, 4 to 7 PM. I think I had actually suggested we start at 3, because I just think it's a little easier for the littler kids, but whatever. I'm open to whatever anybody wants to do. So I guess, because we've got that question mark, maybe, do we need to be more specific or not? It says, mine says this year will fall on a Sunday, celebrated from 4 to 7 PM question mark. Do we want to just, was that maybe just a typo?
So the minutes say October 31st from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought too. So,
So we could correct that with the motion.
okay,
Just set that.
if everybody is, okay with that. All right, so I'm looking for a motion.
Alder Gray will move to approve the trick-or-treat time for October 31st, 2021, from 3 PM until 7 PM.
Alder Motif will second.
So is there any discussion? Okay, and I don't think we need a roll call on this one, so all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, good, well, I'm glad we got that one taken care of. The next one is consider and take action on ordinance number 756-21, an ordinance to repeal and recreate section 98-81 of the City Code of Ordinances concerning restricted parking on highways and in residential districts. And this is the situation that Police Chief Dennis Weiner talked with us about, I believe it was last week. The police department is asking for just somewhat of a change to the ordinance to reflect to make it a little more comprehensive, I would say. So I am looking for a motion on this issue.
Alder Gray will move to adopt or approve the changes in ordinance 756-21, section 98-81, restricted parking on highways and residential districts.
Cape seconds.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion on this issue, or any questions or anything? Okay. Hearing none, we don't need a roll call for this one, do we? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Okay, this motion passes. And item number 7 is to consider and take action on claims in the amount of $201,554.14.
I will make a motion to approve the payment of claims in the amount of $201,554.14.
Alder Albright can second that.
Is there any discussion on this item? So it has been moved and seconded that we approve the claims in the amount stated, and we do a roll call on this? Okay.
Pythron,
Aye.
Albright,
Aye.
Reed. Aye. Gray,
Aye.
McCabe. Modis.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, oops, lost my agenda. I think the next is reports of the officers. So Kyle, you want to go first?
Sure, thank you. A couple quick things. The state population estimates came out. The state they use a different methodology than the census, but their most recent estimate has us at 5,193, which is an additional 6 people from last year. The census is sort of the gold standard. They did deliver those numbers to the state last week, and then I believe they pass those to the county clerks, and it's at that level right now. After that, they'll be passing them down to the municipal clerks, and we will get going on the process of applying the state software program to really kind of look at our districts again to make sure that they're still balanced. And so at that point, there will be, any action for districts would have to come to the committee of the whole, city council for approval. But just know that that is starting to ramp up. There was some legislation earlier to delay that, and it was vetoed, I believe. So we're going to be a little bit under a time crunch because of the delay, but I still think we can get it done. And across the state, it will happen. So the communications and multimedia coordinator position, we're working on setting up interviews for that position in the coming weeks. So just know that that is continuing to move forward. And also moving forward, department heads are submitting their budget requests, and we're starting to compile those. Just want to reiterate that it's going to be a very challenging budget year, and the department heads have really started to submit their requests with that in mind, I think, as I'm seeing a lot of things in their budgets that are really tight to the line, and I don't see a lot of increases being asked for. Even though they probably could use them in certain ways, they're being very respectful of the limitations. So just know that that's coming, and just know that the department heads are working hard on that. And then also this morning we met, Jerry, the Public Works Director, and Jason, the city engineer, and myself met to go over the stormwater management plan, kind of developing the design of what we think it should contain as we continue to develop information on a stormwater utility and stormwater priorities. So that should be forthcoming in the coming weeks as well, about what the scope of that would be, as well as what the cost would be. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. I kind of forgot that Chief Weiner wasn't going to be here tonight because I have some nice things to say about his department. I'm going to go ahead and say them anyway, and then I'll just call him up when he gets back. But the first thing I wanted to remind people about is that the farmers market is happening tomorrow, and if you haven't been, you should definitely check it out. It's a lot of fun, a lot of different kinds of produce and goodies and crafts, and I believe that, yes. There's three. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. I was going to say, so, if you haven't been yet, you've got 3 more times to make it, and tomorrow I think the weather's going to be really lovely, so go on down and check it out. So last week I did mention at our actually last council meeting, not last week, that I had sat down with Police Chief Weiner and we had a really good talk, and the following night we celebrated with the fire department and the police department for National Night Out. And that was just such a great event. I'm a little embarrassed to say that I had never been before. I'm so glad I went. The turnout was amazing. The food was great, and it was just a lot of fun. And it was, the police department, the fire department was there. The school district had their, I think, administrators at the dunk tank, which was a lot of fun for the kids. So it was a really great opportunity for us to all get to know our local law enforcement. And I highly recommend, if you didn't make it this year, to go next year, because it was really great. And so along those lines, I wanted to give a shout out to Officer Matt Schultz. I have a friend who contacted me, and she made a point of calling me as the mayor to tell me that she had gone to the police department with a concern about a friend, and he was extremely responsive. He listened to her for about a half an hour. He helped reassure her. He gave her some good advice, and she was just so impressed, so she called me up to tell me that. And another friend recently posted on Facebook about having, and this is something that I thought about when Dennis talked about how police departments are called upon to deal not only with law and order issues, but they're sometimes the first people who are contacted when there are people with mental health issues in our community. And someone that I know posted on Facebook about having a relative, a family member struggling, and how appreciative he was of our local police department for helping in the intervention. So I just really want to thank our department. I know it's not an easy time, if it ever is an easy time, to be a police officer. So I want to thank them for everything they do for us. And school starts next week, so I want everybody here to pay attention to those school zones. You better slow down to 15. There's nothing that gets your mayor more angry than to be driving near a school zone and seeing somebody speed through at 25 and the crossing guard is, trying to get little kids across the street safely. So our next meeting is going to be September 7th. It's the day after Labor Day. So we won't see you for a few weeks, and I hope everybody has a safe and happy holiday. And now we have to adjourn. So on that note, I'm looking for a motion. Unless you don't want to go.
Alder Gray will move to adjourn.
Alder Motive will second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
And with that, if Deputy Clerk Jane would take the roll call.
Reed. Here. Albright. Here. Arnold. Here. Gray.
Present.
McCabe. Here. Moda.
Present.
Pyfrom.
Here.
Awesome. And the meeting has been properly noticed. Next up is to approve the agenda. Any comments or concerns on it? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
McCabe seconds.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Perfect. Agenda is approved. Next up is citizen comments. Did we have anyone signed up that wanted to speak tonight? Speak now, forever hold your peace. All right, moving on. Now we have the department reports. In your packet, you'll see that you have the department reports from the finance reports from June 21, July 21, and the DPW, the fire, library, Lifestar, and police reports. There's quite a few of them. It's a thick packet tonight. Anybody have any thoughts, comments, concerns, anything?
I did.
Go ahead, Shelley.
I have a couple quick questions, just because I'm a newbie and I just want to understand. So when I was going through it, I went through it quick, and I'm wondering, so when you put, when you have the 2021 budget versus how much we've spent through 6/30, some of the line items are not at like the 50% mark. So I'm wondering, are we behind on doing the accounts payable, or are we going to be coming in under budget?
I think that really depends on the specific line. For example, utilities, say if it's a natural gas line, we might not be at 50% halfway through the year because we probably were running ahead of trend in the beginning of the year. We'll probably accelerate towards the end of the year because there's no heating during the middle. Some of those things could be journal entries where it's insurance expenses, things like overtime for snow plowing. Obviously, that's going to be later in the year. So really the 50% mark is kind of tough on a whole to say if you should always be exactly where you are, because it just depends.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions or comments? Anything more from Shelley? Was that good for you? Okay. All right. Then moving right along, let's see here. Item number 6, review the purchase of Columbus Water and Light aerial lift truck and payment schedule. And Joe, did you want to? Jerry, sorry. Did you have anything to add for us tonight? Okay. I think we should put like a green button over that one.
I'm the newbie.
Like, because that's a problem for everyone.
So I really didn't have anything to add on this, just following up on something that I came in right in the middle of the process of this happening. It was something that was agreed upon previously in the year, purchase of the aerial lift truck from the Water and Light
Okay.
utility.
Okay, perfect.
Pretty straightforward.
Right.
And the Water and Light is willing to extend that pay period over a 3-year pay period.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Did anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? Is everyone comfortable moving that forward to the next council meeting for approval? Awesome. Thank you so much, Jerry. And let's see here. So next up, we have to review and discuss the Plan Commission for the conditional use permit for Culvers. And we have Matt here to help walk us through that one.
Yes, good evening. So, this is a fairly, I guess, straightforward application. The Culvers at 201 Dix put together an application to add a second drive-through facility, or drive-through ordering board to their property. There was a few questions that the staff had, and we brought these up at the Plan Commission meeting, which was Thursday. So there wasn't a lot of time to actually adjust your packet between the meeting Thursday and tonight. So one of the items that we asked for was an updated circulation plan, which I received actually about 4 o'clock today. So I didn't get a chance to get them printed, but I'll have staff review them and final comments in time for this September meeting. The other thing that I did update was, here, down please, the updated conditional use permit form that we use, that we record with the county. I had City Attorney Johnson look it over. The one, I think, big thing that we needed to have correct was the legal description, which is very lengthy. But there were, I think, 8 conditions that you saw on there. The applicant really didn't have any issues with them. I guess I would ask, at a certain point, we will need comments from the city engineer. Jason had some concerns that he expressed at the Plan Commission, and I want him to review the plans and have final comments before the conditional use would be granted. But at this point, I do feel comfortable that with what has been shown in the plans, that I think those concerns can be resolved before the meeting on September 7th. So.
Okay. Perfect. Did anyone have any questions or comments for Matt about the condition? Oh, go ahead, Paul.
Matt, at the Planning Commission, we were talking about the 5 parking stalls in that might have been impeded by the center line. Has that been addressed?
So with the preliminary plans I got today, or the plans I got today, my preliminary review, it showed that those 5 stalls would be removed. I still think they have enough parking to meet our zoning code. And the other thing that they did was kind of close the traffic lane between the first aisle up against the building for parking and the second where traffic normally comes for drive-through. So then people have to go to the outer aisle, then to kind of loop around to get in the drive-through lane. So it kind of, I think that will alleviate a lot of concerns with anything getting backed up too far where it would impact the parking of the customers, also getting to the point where it'd be in the right of way. So I think the edits, once again, this is just a preliminary, like, 5-minute review. It's not been a deep dive yet, but I do think what they showed kind of captured a lot of Jason's comments at Plan Commission.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any more comments or concerns? Does the council feel comfortable moving this forward for, Sarah, you don't?
It just sounds like there's too many, like it hasn't been fully vetted, and that it may be answered by the next meeting. I would rather have it firm and be sure that all of the concerns of the planning commission are answered. If you didn't have time to review anything before tonight, I'm not comfortable approving it.
To be clear, the plan commission didn't have any concerns. The concerns were primarily from the city engineer,
Okay. but
from the
there's-
staff level.
There's still concerns, though.
Correct. I guess from my position, or from my vantage point as staff, I think there's ample time to work through the issues before the next meeting. And obviously, if the next meeting, council did not feel it was ready, it could always be pushed back another council meeting. I mean, that would be another alternative.
Does everybody understand what Matt's saying there? Like, he would, so basically staff recommendation is to move it forward to the next meeting for approval. If for some reason something wasn't ready, then we would table it then. Is everyone comfortable with that? Sarah? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Then next up is to review and discuss the Plan Commission for Commerce Center Lot 6.
All right, so this proposal really started at the August 2nd council meeting when we were reviewing an application that the applicant had in for Lot 7, which is across the street, for multifamily rezoning from I-1 to R4. So at that meeting on August 2nd, council felt more comfortable if there was actually more multifamily out in the Commerce Center. So the applicant submitted an application for Lot 6, which, as I said, is across the street. So Plan Commission met on the last Thursday, so August 12th. They had the public hearing. There were really no comments for or against the public hearing. There was one person there that wanted to know a little bit more information, but they didn't really comment on the project necessarily. And Plan Commission did vote recommending approval to the council. I just wanted to just kind of reiterate some of the things I heard at the August 2nd meeting. I think there was some concern from those on council that the compatibility with some of the other land uses now that we're getting to know more information. I know there was concern with having play areas or areas for kids and having younger families in this development. And also kind of related to that, it would be somewhat of an isolated residential area without maybe sufficient pedestrian amenities to get to the other, like sidewalks. I mean, the sidewalks, it would connect, but that, I think the issue was it would be quicker to go down Maple. And then the other, I think, concern was that if we rezoned it to R4, it could open it up for other uses when the intent is actually to only rezone this for multifamily use. So I think that's a high-level summary of kind of the proposal. Plan Commission, as I said, did recommend approval of the rezoning from I-1 to R4. So with that, there's any questions for me or the applicant is here to answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you. Did anyone on council have any questions, comments, concerns about the rezoning of Lot 6? Go ahead, Trina.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm just still feeling so uncomfortable putting apartments way out there. I feel like we're setting the city up for having a area of poverty, of people just being stuck out there and surrounded by industrial lots of cars. So I'm still very on the fence.
No, and totally understand that sentiment, and I do very much appreciate that you're looking at developing Lot 6 along with Lot 7 to try and alleviate some of that, because that is definitely a concern of mine too. It is a hard thing it is easy to be on the fence because we 100% need more housing, we need more development, and I mean, of course, we need more tax base. So there's definitely some big pros of this going in, but it is a tricky spot. I don't know which one of you.
who got it on first.
Well,
first.
I'll go first, I guess. I understand Trina's concerns, but on that side note, there's a lot of employers out there. People could live out there and walk to work. I mean,
That's a
that would be
valid
very
point.
nice, too.
That's valid. Sarah?
I have concerns with it being partially commercial and partially residential. I would rather see the lot next to Lot 7, what is that, 8, where the proposed towing company is going to be residential also. Otherwise, it needs to be all commercial. I just feel like we're not planning our urban development very well. And we need to think through where we put residential and where we put commercial. And having them combined like this just feels like we're just throwing it together to me.
I'll take Shelley, and then you can probably reply to
So
everyone's
I just
comments.
basically have, so I went out there and drove around because it's been a while since I was out there. And really that area is like less than a mile from where those apartments end on Maple. So when I was coming through it, obviously there's a farm there, but I was envisioning it at some point that may all be developed. And to me, it doesn't seem like it's that far out of town because it's less than a mile. It's actually a mile loop around to Quick Trip and back. That's my own comment.
Thank you. Yeah, the little face with the 3 lines coming out of it. Yeah, I think we need to just put like a little green sticker on it.
Is that
and
right?
It'll be good.
I saw one light on, so I figured I was good.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys have brought these comments up before, and I guess I'll give you the same answer. I mean, if you drive up 151, past Beaver Dam, past Waupun, you're going to see very similar developments where there's a mixture of multifamily, commercial, industrial, all along the 151 corridor. Again, it's just, those are very compatible uses. I went out and I looked at, I know there was mention of play areas for children, so I took a look at all of the apartments that I could think of or find in the Columbus area. You got the Kestrel Ridge Apartments, Santa Maria, the Stony Creek Apartments, the Tiffany Apartments, Country Ridge Condos. I know they're not apartments. There's apartments on Park Avenue by Highland Ridge, and then also on Maple and Meister. None of those had play area. A good number of those didn't have sidewalks accessible to the units. The Kestrel Ridge Apartments, which I think might have been some of the newer apartments built, and that was, 25 years or so ago, that's across from the wastewater treatment facility and the recycling center, and it's got the high-pressure natural gas meter station, literally abutting it. No sidewalks, no play area. So, I think these are all very compatible uses out in the commercial park. Again, where we want to do this is Lot 7, where this all started from. There's a buffer. There's a buffer between Lot 7 and the mini warehousing. There's a buffer between Lot 7 and Lot 8, where you've got that drainage swale. We listened to your comments after you guys approved this to the council on Lot 7. You said, okay, we want more density out there, which is why we came back with Lot 6. So, why is another couple acres better than, what we're proposing, I guess?
You're looking at me?
Yeah, you had asked, because you said, if you did Lot 8, it would be better. That's only another couple
Yeah,
acres.
I just have a real issue with a towing company being stuck in the middle of a residential. And to Shelley's point, there is residential not far from there. A mile is not far. I don't consider it that far out of town. So if there's residential a mile away, why would we not be better suited to have all of that residential? And I understand that there are storage units out there, that business. I think that's pretty compatible with apartments as opposed to cars that have been towed and stored in a junkyard.
Well, first of all, I don't think anybody's presented anything on that lot to the plan commissioner, to council. So there's been nothing approved out there as of yet. I don't believe it's going to be automobile, car storage out there. Again, I can't speak on that just because they haven't presented anything to the city as of yet.
If
So-
that's the case, then why could we not have the whole thing be R4? Have Lot 8 also be R4?
Well, we have as I mentioned, we have an accepted offer with someone, but they just haven't presented anything to the city yet. So I can't speak on their behalf as far as what they're planning on doing. I mean, I can't do that.
Right, he's saying he can't disclose.
I understand.
I mean, I don't really 100% know what they're planning on doing over there. So I mean, I can't speak on their behalf. I just don't know. But again, you know, it's like, all right, well, why don't we make 100 acres R4? I mean, where's that point where it's, you know, enough is enough? It creates, you know, a large enough area to be considered, all right, this is plenty big enough for it to be considered R4.
I know we need the housing in Columbus, and I feel bad that I can't support this, but I can't support it as it is right now. I'm sorry.
Just because there's just not enough land zoned R4?
I would rather all of that be a residential area or all of that be a commercial area. I would rather there be more forethought into what's going to happen with that area in the future rather than spot zoning.
Well, I think one thing that could perhaps help council is we know what your intentions are for Lot 7. Do you have any intentions yet for Lot 6 after it's rezoned?
Yeah,
to
we
R4?
submitted it to the city with our
Okay.
package.
Is it?
Conceptual plan. There should be.
I don't think there is. Oh, well, I guess there's,
Yeah, it's kind of behind the staff report. There's a one-page conceptual plan for lot 6.
okay. Oh, yeah, okay, I didn't notice it because it's pretty brief, but I understand why it wouldn't be very detailed yet. Okay. Is there more to the consensual plan in our packet than this? No?
One page is what I got so far.
Okay. So this doesn't give me a lot of info. Could you just like ease my mind a little bit and tell me more about what I'm looking at here?
I mean, it's, you know, four buildings for sure. We're still working with the DNR on
Right.
that cross-hatched area, you know, whether that's going to be considered wetland or not. If it's not going to be considered wetland, then, you know, we have an opportunity for a fifth building.
Okay, that makes sense. So very similar to Lot 7 then?
Yeah, correct.
And what kind of time frame are you looking at building on Lot 7 and then Lot 6?
Well, Lot 7, the hope was that we can start on a couple buildings prior to the end of the year,
Okay.
you know, and then we'll just phase it out as demand warrants.
Okay. Thank you. And then Paul?
In regards to Trina's comment about throwing the apartments out there and sort of create an island of poverty, to some sense, I get that, but can you elaborate on, I believe it was, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. You had mentioned at the Plan Commission that you had a study done that said what type of demographics you're actually anticipating living there?
Yeah, I mean, you never actually know who's
course, of
planning
course.
on renting some of these units, but it's gonna be a mixture of, you know, 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom. You know, so we're thinking it's gonna probably be, you know, young professionals, you know, maybe folks that are even downsizing, that don't wanna be in a big house anymore, and they just want, you know, something a little bit smaller. So I think there's gonna be a mixture. We don't anticipate that it's gonna be, you know, heavily rented by, you know, families with a lot of children. I mean, that's just typically not, you know, in 2- and 1-bedroom apartments that you're gonna see out there.
Thank you. Did anybody else have any questions or? So what is the, oh, go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, sorry, I just wanted to, you know, if there's a study, maybe that would help the council make their decision. If we could have that maybe for the next meeting, then you would kind of see what the market is and what they think the rent market is going to kind of bear out there. That would be another component of information that might help the council just understand better. And then I think with some of the other conversation that we've been having, I think it's not necessarily a matter of how much area you need to have it be residential. I think the core issue here is incompatibility of uses. And that's when you look at zoning, that's the whole reason you have zoning, is that you don't put things that may be incompatible, next to each other and kind of come out with something that really in the end doesn't make sense. So I'm not sure it's necessarily just a core number of acres you need. I think it's a matter of what's going to work well together, because once it would be rezoned residential, it could be any of the R4 permitted uses with no further stop, prior to building, and then anything that's supported in the industrial that would be permitted by right could go right in with very limited or no review if it's doesn't have a conditional use associated with it. So, I mean, I think that might be one of the core issues that the council's weighing. It's again not the capacity or size of the development; it's how they relate to one another.
Well, that's not what I'm hearing Ms. Mota say. Oh, because it sounded like you were saying you're okay with the use, you just want more of it out there. I mean, because you're still going to have some of those other uses out there.
I have an issue with putting residential next to what the proposed commercial is there. If you had residential on all three, I'd be good with it. If it was commercial on all three, I'd be good with everything.
So you just don't want the residential potentially next to whatever might go on lot 8?
Mm-hmm.
So just one parcel that
Yep.
is kind of an unknown right
And
now.
I've driven out there, I actually walked around, took a look.
And the buffer, obviously, that you see is there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not sufficient.
No, I feel very strongly about this.
I actually have a question. Kyle reminded me of this when you started talking. So I noticed that it was mentioned that as far as that area in our comprehensive plan, we actually had that set aside for residential area. And I have two questions. One, was that decided when there's a Shopko and a grocery store out there? Or are we still thinking that the comprehensive plan is still fine and you do want residential out in that direct area?
I think I'm going to ask Matt to speak to this. I believe the Highway 16 designation has calls for a blend, but Matt, could you
Correct.
expand?
So when we adopted the comprehensive plan, we wrote the Highway 16 commercial areas that where you could be a blend of basically I-1 zoning and B2 highway commercial zoning and some limited multifamily in areas kind of like this that may not be direct frontage on a busy street, kind of out of the way type of areas where it's compatible with other surrounding land uses. So we did leave multifamily in the Highway 16 commercial district as a possibility. So
Okay, and you were thinking about it in that particular area, correct? Because
that was
less
one of them.
busy and whatnot.
There was a couple other areas where we've talked about that might be appropriate for multifamily, even though the zoning it would have to be rezoned, but that would be in that Highway 16 commercial district.
And so you feel that this project still kind of goes along with your vision in the comprehensive plan then?
Yeah. It's just like anything. When you know more, then your kind of vision of things change. And kind of to Council Member Motive's point, it's we have been contacted by a potential user, but we as the applicant said, we don't have any sort of formal proposal. We don't know exactly what they're doing. They haven't come to us with any sort of site plan. We just think what it might be.
But it's a potential risk.
Correct. It is a potential. And so as you kind of give it all those details, there's a lot of moving parts to this because everything's coming in at different points in time. So, what we knew 2 months ago is different than what we know now, and probably will be different than what we know tomorrow. And that's kind of, I guess, what with having the Highway 16 having a blend of uses. I mean, that's, I guess, is probably to be expected, so.
Okay.
Thank you. So I think
Can I just ask another question, Ms. Motive? So if we were to come forward and there was no mention of what was going on Lot 8, you would be okay with what was being proposed?
If I knew it wasn't going to be commercial?
Yeah, I mean, if there was just no one interested in Lot 8 and we said, well, we don't know what's going to go there.
Yeah, I would feel better about it.
But what potentially is going to go there is going to fall in line with whatever a permitted use is under the industrial zoning. So if this
And
group
that's
comes
fine
forward
for,
with,
for Lot 8, but
Yeah.
if I know that something is going to be potentially in opposition with Lot 7 and Lot 6 by changing that to a residential, I'm not going to
but
do it.
it's still, I guess my point is that it's still zone industrial. So any permitted use
It's
that
still
would be
zoned industrial.
allowable under the I-1 zoning could potentially go there. And so if this group moves forward that we have under contract on Lot 8, and they propose something that's permitted under the I-1 zoning, why would you now not be okay with it? I guess I'm kind of
I think
confused by
the
that.
I
big
would
thing,
be
I'm
okay-
sorry, I'm
No,
gonna
please
cut
let
everyone
me
off. We're
finish.
done arguing back and forth. This is not meant to be an argument or.
Well, it's not an argument. I'm just trying to.
That's what it's turning into, and this is my meeting, so I will have you kindly sit back down. Now, the council, what is before us is, do you or do you not want this to move forward to our next meeting for approval on September 6th? I think this is contentious enough that I will take a vote. All those in favor of moving forward to the next meeting, say aye.
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 And all those against? All right, so that is basically, well, I guess that's up to me then, I have to break that. So I say we move it forward to the next meeting. Any additional information that you have of things that could potentially be happening to help ease the council's mind? I know this is a difficult choice for all of us. It's a difficult choice for me too. We do very much need the housing, and we do. And I agree, it may or may not be the most ideal location, but it is a location, and it is something that can happen, and I think it could be potentially good for our city. And it's time to move forward. We can vote on it next week, but arguing more tonight is not going to get us anywhere.
Could I just ask a question to him? Since you can't really speak on what's going into Lot 8, or you don't know what's going into Lot 8, are you concerned whatever does go in there will potentially hurt your chances of renting?
No. I mean, we're planning on spending with the number of units proposed, I mean, several $1 million on this project. And we have, all the confidence in the world that we're not going to have any issues. My one question that I had is, to be able to have better information, what is the concern? Is it a safety aspect of it? Is that the main concern? Is that, would it be for like children venturing over, or what? Just to help us better get more information for the next
Some of it
meeting.
is children, and I
Okay.
understand that you have 1 and 2-bedroom apartments. So primarily, you are going to have the young professionals, but you could also have that single parent.
Sure.
So there may be children there.
Okay.
And it also could lead to, well, and the other question I have, and that hasn't been answered, can I ask one quick question? Are you doing on-site or management, or is it going to be distance management?
Well, that's going to depend, as we further grow the project. It might be distant with the first building or two, but then as we get more scale, presumably there'll be on-site management.
When there is a need for it. And just a real quick thing, I want to remind everyone, all we are really doing here is zoning. Once this is rezoned, absolutely anything that is within the parameters can be put there. We are not deciding what he's putting there. It's great to know his intentions, because I think we should take intentions into consideration with things. But this is simply whether or not we're going to rezone commercial into residential multifamily. Absolutely nothing else is up for debate. It's whether or not you feel comfortable rezoning it. We do have additional information, and any more information you can provide the council to help everyone feel more comfortable rezoning it to multifamily would be appreciated. Perhaps even like better photos of the area so everyone knows exactly, and maybe where things will be, or, you know,
Okay.
just anything
Yeah,
that
we'll
could
try to provide
perhaps
more
help
info.
you next meeting.
All right, thank you.
But it will be on the regular agenda next meeting for potential approval.
And what date is that? Sorry.
September 6th, 7th.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, sorry about that, everyone. Moving on, let us discuss the Plan Commission conditional use permit for self-storage.
All right, let me find my spot here. All right, so first things first, in the memo, I did have a typo. It should be 395 Transit Drive. As I was updating the memo, I kind of was using one of the memos I already had written, so I apologize for that. This one is one that also went to Plan Commission on August 12th. The public hearing for this was held on July 8th, as required by code. And then basically at that public hearing, really, there was only one comment that was made in favor of the proposed development. Really, at the July 8th meeting, there was the site plan was needed to be amended to actually meet the code for zoning setbacks. So it was tabled on July 8th, came back to the August 12th meeting, and after some discussion, the Plan Commission recommended approval of the conditional use permit that was with 9 conditions that should be, once again, I have an updated version based on Attorney Johnson's review, so I'm going to hand them down to you. The applicant does have a copy of this and received a copy of this, the conditions at the meeting. And at this point, as I said, Plan Commission is recommending approval. So the applicant is here for any questions, and if you have any questions for me,
Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
I'll give, since we just got the updated version, give everybody a minute to read through it, but are there any questions or any thoughts, concerns about this moving forward to our next meeting? Seems like a fairly straightforward one, but, you know. Did anybody have any qualms with moving that forward? Okay, perfect. So we'll see that at our next meeting. And then next up, let's see here. Is review and discuss the Plan Commission certified survey map for the Columbus self-storage. So this goes kind of hand in hand.
I was looking in the packet, and somehow I don't think this made it in the packet, so I did make copies.
Oh, I think I've got it. Okay, yeah.
I used the one that was downloaded from the website. I was looking on the website, and I was like, oh, so I guess I don't need the copies. This one, I think, is fairly self-explanatory. With the conditional use, they need a CSM to divide what was Lot 10 of the Columbus Commerce Center into 2 lots, basically a northern lot and a southern lot. Also, the northern lot, which is shown as Lot 1 on the CSM, basically dissolves the lot line for the existing Columbus self-storage unit facility at 395 Transit. So basically, it'll make it one big, long lot. Staff has reviewed it at this point. I think I haven't received any comments against it. In a lot of times with CSMs, there might be some minor tweaks from here to the September 7th when it would go to council for final action. But the CSM is very simple. I mean, this is basically the mechanism to divide the lot into 2 lots. At this point, staff has no major concerns with this. So, any questions?
Anybody have any questions on the division? Okay, perfect. That can move forward to our next meeting as well. Thank you so much, Matt. Or are you?
I'll stay for the start of this one and then probably then have Jason come up at some point, I would think.
Okay, perfect. So next up is
or
to
maybe not.
review and discuss the task orders from Rupert Milkie for the CDBG projects.
So this was, as you guys recall, we've been talking CDBG for the last, or some of you may recall, I should say. We've had CDBG discussions for probably the last 2 years with the CDBG close, and now we're getting to the point where we're designing the project and actually going to complete the project. So one of the things that we need for our, I guess, initial pre-grant application, if you will, is to have, basically to award the design and have somebody design the project as specified in the grant application. So part of the task order is for the design work for the project. One thing to note, in the grant application, the way it was written, the design work was all going to be funded locally because there was, we had roughly $424,000 available to the city in a non-competitive grant. And the total project cost was, I believe, right around $580,000 when we wrote the grant. It benefited us by having the design done with the local funds because then it kind of, we have less requirements in how we're going about the design or procuring the contracts for the design and things of that nature because it's not fair funds. So early on, I think we identified using Rupert Milkie to help us with the design. The other thing that staff has talked about is the time to actually administer the grant from the CDBG is very time intensive, and there's a lot of training. A lot of firms like Rupert Milkie are qualified in doing the CDBG grant administration. This would be another cost that essentially would be on top of the total project cost. But considering there's $424,000 of federal dollars at stake, I think it's well worth it for the time to have that in place. So I guess if there's any questions for me about the timeline, there is a timeline in your packet that kind of outlines the schedule for this. Or if there's any questions about the task orders, Jason's here to answer those as well. So, any questions?
Does anybody have anything for Matt or Jason? Thoughts, comments, concerns? Okay, perfect. Nice and easy, I think.
All right.
So then next up, let's go straight to item number 12, review and discuss the city treasurer and city administrator position descriptions. I assume Kyle?
Yes. So as we've been looking to fill the finance director position, and we've been looking for options to have sort of a lasting fix at that point. One of the thoughts is returning the position title to the more traditional city treasurer position made some sense. And I think the difficulty comes in that a finance director isn't really a statutory title. It could mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and could potentially be different in each community, where the treasurer has some statutory obligations, and it's very clear. So to accomplish the change that we had discussed, we had to make slight revisions to the finance director position description and the city administrator treasurer description. And that's what you have in your packet in front of you, is the draft city treasurer position description and city administrator position description. Functionally, there won't be many changes. The most notable change would be signature authority on checks and other banking documents, but the main functions will all actually stay the same, and that's why returning to that title really kind of matches the title to the duties of the position.
Awesome, thank you. I think that explains it pretty well. Did anybody have any thoughts or questions or comments at all? Go ahead, Shelley.
I do. Just basically on the desired minimum qualifications, you are citing an associate's degree in here, but then you're also in the second line a CPA or advanced degree. I think you would be better served to pick if you want somebody that has a CPA/MBA versus somebody that has, a 2-year degree. I think because that's also a huge identifier for accountants versus for their wage. It seems to me like you have an associate degree in there that, to me, that says entry level. And that's my only comment.
I think, or you can, go ahead, you can probably answer it.
Yeah, so
better.
I just, the first bullet point is saying that it's a minimum associate or bachelor's degree in accounting, finance, BA, mathematics, economics, et cetera. And then it goes on to say CPA or advanced degrees preferred. So it's doing two things. It's saying here's kind of the minimum level we would expect, but we're really interested in people that have more advanced. So I mean, we're trying to kind of hedge our bets in both directions. We don't want people to think it's only entry level, but we want them to understand that you do have to have at least a minimum set of qualifications.
And somebody
Right, and we
with an
have to-
associate's and 20 years of experience in a municipal accounting is going to be much better than a CPA fresh out of school.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically the point I was going to make. In many cases, a CPA would not be as desirable as someone with an associate's that's actually been doing municipal work. Any other thoughts, Trina?
No, it was just covered. Thank you. Yeah, I was just going to say the exact same thing, that I like the flexibility of putting the minimum versus preferred to give some allowance for experience. And I also like that we're changing the position to treasurer. I think that'll attract a lot more people with a clarified title.
Right. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I think that says it all. Anybody else have any thoughts or concerns? So everybody's good, moving the new job descriptions forward? Awesome. Kyle?
Just ready for the next item.
Oh, okay. Good. Let's see here. So the review and discuss the city treasurer recruitment firms.
Yeah, so sort of a continuation of the discussion we just had, but along with changing the position to a city treasurer position, or changing it back to, I should say, this all really kind of stems from our lack of success in securing a lasting solution in this position for the finance director. And so one of the solutions that we've been exploring is working with firms that specialize in obtaining or providing specialized financial staff to see if they can maybe tap into a pool of talent that we haven't been able to get to. And so this kind of represents several firms: Robert Half, Creative Financial Staffing, and then Clifton Larson Allen, who is actually providing our interim service right now with the finance director. We did look at all of them. I think the contract staffing is not the route that I would prefer to go. I think that's, with the onboarding and getting people up to speed with our processes, we'll be, back potentially in the same boat if we don't have someone stay for long term. And several of them had the people that they could provide were either their employees that you couldn't have forever, or they were in a pool of people, and I think it was 4% of people who could take another job at any moment. And so there was some concern there. Recruitment fees, to have them go through and select and kind of pre-vet and kind of tap their resources seemed like the better option if we are going to use a firm. And then among those, it was pretty consistent at 25%, with Clifton Larson giving us 22%, I think, from what they're saying, based on our existing relationship. So if we are going to engage a firm, we recommended CLA or Clifton Larson. They were the least expensive, but also they actually know us. They've been working here. They know the duties and what we need someone to do. And so that will help them match up the candidate to the job, I think. And they also seem to have a pretty robust selection process. And the staff that went through the call with me and really explained their process are experienced in Wisconsin, experienced in government accounting in schools and municipalities, and they had a wealth of knowledge. They did also say that we're in the same boat a lot of places are. It's really across the region and across industries. People are having a hard time finding pretty much anyone, but in these specialized positions where it's a more narrow field, they said it's pretty common for us to be struggling, but that it makes their job harder. But I also think then it makes their services more valuable. So that was our recommendation if we are going to go with the firm, would be Clifton Larson.
So that's a,
I had a
you
quick
can go
question.
ahead, Trina.
Sorry. No, just looking at, looks like Clifton Larson is the most expensive. They have the lowest, like, first year cash compensation percentage, but then the by hour is quite a bit more.
That was only if we used them. So like Kyle's recommending that if we go with the firm, we would only use the recruitment, not a staff.
That should be an option.
Correct. So the contract staffing is kind of a different model, and currently we have a partner level CPA with years of experience in school and government accounting that is coming in to help. That kind of experience comes at a higher cost, and the other firms had ranges of people that could fill in temporarily, but I think the better method that we would prefer is just using them for recruitment. So that would be mostly in that left column. So the 25%, 25%, and 22% would be the three bids, so to speak. And that's the way we would prefer to go to get someone permanent in the position.
Right. Yeah, and kind of when we started discussing this before about changing titles and perhaps getting the firm to help with interim staffing and recruitment, my thought then is the same as now, that if they had someone on staff that we could potentially hire forward, it would make sense to do that. If they didn't, then it doesn't make a lot of sense to change what we have now and have just additional cost, I think. And in my opinion, if they can't provide that for us, I think most likely a big part of the reason why we've had so many challenges finding the position is the lack of the statutory role as treasurer. So I would personally prefer to just change the role, put that statutory role back on at the title, and open up the position again instead of paying a company 22 or 25% to do it for us. Paul was on for a while. Go ahead, Paul.
I guess I'm a little bit confused. I hear you saying that the city's recommending CLA, but then I'm reading this letter from Robert Half, and it says, "Dear Pamela, thank you for selecting Robert Half." So did we select them already? I mean,
so each time you contact them, generates essentially a form letter. I think no contracts have been signed, no guarantees have been made, and no obligations have been incurred. My guess is it's a form letter that they use to generate their terms and conditions paperwork and things like that. But we have not selected any firm.
Go ahead, Shelley.
A quick question. If you did use CLA for recruitment purposes, did they tell you how long it would take? Would it go fairly quickly, or?
I don't recall the specific time frame for CLA. Are you saying CLA or CFS?
No, CLA.
CLA.
Yeah.
They thought they could have, I think there was a time frame in here. So they do have a milestone phase and month. They were looking to research their candidate pipeline from August to October, candidate engagement September through November, identify and interview candidates from October through November, and then candidate selection, transition, and onboarding would happen late October into November.
Oh, okay. All right, so it wouldn't be really any much quicker then. I mean, by the time we put an ad in the paper and, okay.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thought is,
Yeah.
I mean, we could at least advertise for it for a little while instead of committing
Right.
to pay someone for something. This was, I know, something that Alder Motif brought forward that she wanted to look into. So I'd really like to hear your take on what you think. So because one of your big things was that someone like Robert Half might be able to provide us with someone, and that's not the case. So what do you think?
I'm just fine with CLA. I don't have a problem not using Robert Half, and they have reduced their first-year cash compensation percentage, which is wonderful. I think that this would alleviate some of Kyle and Pamela's time having to search for a candidate if we have somebody else out there vetting and possibly with a better pool, we might end up with a better candidate.
That's valid. Go ahead, Trina.
Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering, can we run an ad and then have CLA in a back pocket? I mean, just be in talks with them to see if they do in fact think they have a new name or names to provide while we have the ad going.
Yeah, I think we always have the option of running with the ad and then coming back to a firm after the fact if we aren't successful. The one concern that in discussion with CLA, they kind of explored what we've done and how we got to where we are today. And one of their concerns is when you run recurring recruitments for the same position, that people start looking then going, boy, that's the same job I saw XYZ, and it suddenly gets some sort of annotation that goes along with it. And so while I think we could do the single recruitment, I wouldn't recommend, I think, going for repetitive recruitments because I think you could run that out again.
I'd like to add that some of the contracts that you sign, like with CLA, say that if you find someone on your own, you still have to pay that 22% or 25%.
That's what I was kind of concerned about. Timing-wise, I'd really prefer to try and add again with the new title. I feel like the new name will make it seem fresh.
And did you have something again, or are you just still?
No. I'm one of
Duly noted. I'll stop calling on you. No. Anybody else have any thoughts? All right, so now we need to kind of get some direction for staff. How many of you think that we should move forward with one of the companies? Let's not select a company yet. How many of us kind of feel like we should use a company for recruiting versus how many of us think we should try to put it out with just an ad? That's probably
I'm for the ad.
For the ad? Mike?
Considering the time crunch for the recruitment.
Recruitment?
Do I get a vote?
Yeah, I'm the chair of this.
I think I'm just kind of aware that we've been without a finance person for a while, and that it's been kind of difficult for staff, so I think I'd be for recruitment also.
I'm for the ad. I feel like the recruitment would likely take just as long or possibly long for the process. And I feel like we might have to hire an hourly person in the meantime to be an additional help for our current budgeting season.
And I'm torn. I think that with the new title, we have not run that, we have not tried that yet, so if an ad in that case might be beneficial, but in this essence of utilizing a broader pool of applicants, I think we should go for recruitment.
And so to clarify one thing, 'cause what I'm hearing is one of the big things that's kind of influencing our decision is the timing. Would we potentially be able to find someone faster if we ran our own ad versus hiring someone for recruitment?
Potentially. I mean, it's really difficult to say. It's what kind of recruitment pool you get. With council's permission, we could advertise the draft position description, this week and run it out for 3 or 4 weeks. And then as soon as on September 7th, the position description would be approved, we could then, move right into interviewing. What's happened before is we get very limited responses, and then we extend it for a while, and sometimes by the time we get a group of people ready to interview, the first half of the people are already gone because they've taken other jobs or they've lost interest or something has changed. So it's potentially an option that we could move along faster. This is really sort of a lost budget season. There's just very little way to get anyone in right now and understand any part of what's going on, not to mention the tax roll process that's going to be going on in November, that we have to, kind of validate and verify thousands of tax bills. And that's a process that none of the staff in-house are familiar with, and I'm not even sure that our contract staff have experience with the county tax roll process. So that's one big red flag for me that I'm, very concerned about. But we can also find other options to, work with one of these other firms to see if we can get more contract hourly staff to hopefully supplement us, because we have been running at, an average of less than 20 hours a week for months and months. So, I mean, there are multiple ways we could go about it, I guess.
Okay.
I did just have a question. Are you advertising through like Wisconsin GFOA or any of the other government, networking sites?
So I think our traditional, I'm just kind of off the top of my head, is the League of Wisconsin Municipalities, the Wisconsin City County Managers. We at times have used WIS jobs, but I don't think we do because of the cost. The Government Finance Officers Association of Wisconsin, the Treasurers Association, and the Clerks Association, and sometimes Rural Water as well, which kind of hits the people that are already usually working or interested in local municipal finance. It kind of hits those groups. So that's what we've been doing, but we've been trying to, typically we try to avoid costly methods of advertising, but we could entertain those as well.
So basically, if we move forward with a company for recruitment, what is the soonest that we could even start the recruitment? Like, we'll have to bring it to the next council meeting for a vote to get a contract and then get a contract and...
Yeah, I think if there was a recommendation to choose one option or the other, I think we would be bringing a contract ready to act upon.
Okay.
The one thing I was clear with Clifton Larson is that, we're talking about this, we're, sharing information, but there's no obligation. So, I would be sharing with them, I think, what the sentiment of the council is. If it's still really a split decision, I'll share that with them, but we'll have the contract ready. I'm not sure they'll be very far down the road just with the uncertainty. But, I mean, they'll be ready to go. They've got a process. It's not going to be created just for us. So I think they'd be ready to hit go on the 8th of September.
Okay. And if we did do an ad ourselves, how quickly would that be able to happen?
Changing some old ads, we could probably have it out distributed later this week. Maybe it would hit either late this week or next week, depending on the format. And then if there's paid advertising, we would have to kind of see what publishing guidelines would be and deadlines. But in the coming 7 days, we could certainly have advertisements out.
If we place an ad now and have it up temporarily and then sign a contract, then we're not obligated to pay that 22% because the ad's out there first. So we could try that and then potentially do the recruitment.
Right, that's kind of exactly what I was getting to. Yeah. No, you're fine. I'm glad that you're thinking the same thing. That's what my thought process was. Trina?
Oh, no, I was thinking the same thing, and I'm still looking at the pricing of the list and wondering if we want to go with a less expensive contract, if that's what it comes to. It's just, oh goodness, the Clifton is just so much more than the other ones per hour, if that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that is, sort of the issue is that we're getting a lot less hours per week. But she came in highly qualified. She learned the system very quickly, and she was even brought in to help train the staff that we hired and provide that kind of high quality but high cost And so that's what we've returned to. We can go to a lower cost option, but they're gonna need to learn our system, and they're not probably gonna come in with the same set of skills and experience. So we would probably still need to rely on Clifton Larson then to train the person, so then you're adding those costs together and actually.
Getting really expensive. Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one. So my personal recommendation, and then I'd like to hear from council, is I would like to stick with Clifton but put an ad out now and get a contract ready. Then if we don't have any bites, just move forward with Clifton. What's everyone think of that? Good. Perfect. Is that good direction? Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. I feel a lot better about that. I'm happy that the roles are getting, the statutory roles going back. Let's see here. Review and discuss Rupert Milky year-to-date invoices.
All right, so there were some questions about some of the invoices and where we are year-to-date. So I did a few things. Jason helped provide some of the ongoing invoices that we've had year-to-date. I pulled out some of the budget lines that cover those expenses, and just wanted to, I think, introduce them, add a few points, and then if there's discussion kind of about, how much the cost is, how much cost we're, continuing to incur, and if we want to change any practices that we're doing. A couple of the things I noted, right now we're sitting okay, but there was some older invoices that will be hitting, so those numbers obviously will continue to change throughout the year. We've introduced and adopted some task orders mid-year, and those always they come with the benefit of whatever we're choosing to pursue, like the urban non-point source grant, transportation utility, or a stormwater utility. And so those are our task orders that we present, and we don't have pre-allocated funding for those. So if they're approved mid-year, those can sometimes cause overages. Not to say that they're not warranted, though, but just sort of as a point that if we do extra things that we didn't budget for, the cost will naturally increase. The more meetings we have engineering staff attend, the greater the cost. I think in the past, maybe they attended all the meetings, and then in the past couple of years, I think it was, if there's an item, if we need their opinion or need them to answer questions, we bring them in. That adds to the cost. Also, some of the expenses that you see for, say, the State Highway 89 project, many of you didn't vote on that because it's a multi-year project. So these approvals were from years ago, and the wastewater also has several projects like that span years. So the approval comes long before any of the bills. And then the final thing I wanted to note was that some of the reimbursable engineering expenses, say for like construction projects or the school, those expenses are paid in the claims packet, but you don't see those in the budget lines because those are reimbursable. So they basically hit a different line for liabilities, and basically otherwise the way it would hit our budget would be kind of unfair. We'd get penalized with our levy restrictions because we're not actually incurring the cost, it's the developer. So sometimes what you pay in the claims packet actually doesn't match what ends up hitting the budget lines. So I just wanted to kind of lay that out there to start and see if there was any other questions, and I think Jason is still here as well to kind of talk through any of the questions or processes that we have.
Thank you, Kyle. I think that explanation really helps navigate everything a little bit and understand it a little bit better. Sarah, go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you for taking the time to do this. It's very helpful to see this summary. That's really what I needed.
One final point that actually relates to the last item. If you look at the top item is Public Works Administration Engineering. A lot of these expenses get broken out by the finance director. And so they're reading this and they're putting it in the line they think it belongs. And a lot of time they're looking back to previous years to see how they did it last year. Some of these Public Works Administration Engineering, some of those expenses from other lines probably belong in there. And once you get a treasurer or you get a finance director and they get familiar with our process and what we do and understand what projects we have and what it's for, some of those will normalize, I think, and the expenses will become more accurate in the lines we're still capturing them and we're paying them, but, seeing zero for Public Works probably doesn't match reality.
Thank you. Anybody? Oh, go ahead, Jason. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to speak. I just wanted to say, and I know some of you are new to Rupert Melke, we've been around for quite a while. Those of you that know me, I live in town. There are a few things that you may not know about that I just want to make you aware of in the engineering process. We had an original agreement with the city years back. Before I was with Rupert Melke, it was with another firm. I actually moved, and then the city eventually ended up re-interviewing engineering firms and hiring the firm I'm with now. We do work very closely with Water and Light as well, and that was a way to kind of merge. At one point, the engineering companies were different, and we thought there was some benefit. So there is some synergy with the Water and Light Department. In 2019, we re-upped or renegotiated our master service agreement, and we made a whole bunch of changes because of concerns of the council. I'm always very open to sitting down and discussing what the concerns are. So I just wanted to let you know a couple other little key points on costs. My billing rate is only charged at 50% when I'm at meetings. So we understand that maybe I'm sitting through some other agenda items that maybe I'm not benefiting for. So we do reduce that cost. I am one of the vice presidents of the company, so obviously I have experience and a lot of other things that come with me as far as accountability for our company, but we do discount my rate to the city from what my normal rate would be as I bill out to other clients. Just as kind of saying to you that we understand having us here sometimes comes with a little higher cost. And then lastly, we're very sensitive to the cost because we know you have the ability to go out and contact other consultants if you so choose. And even as much as like the task orders tonight, I did some research around to see what grant administration costs were for our competitors. It's out there. I mean, you can find that stuff. And I made sure that we were very competitive with those costs because if somebody would want to price check us. And to that point, one of the standards that came up a few years ago on all of our task orders was the council wants to see a itemized breakdown. They want to understand what staff we're using on our projects, how much time they're pursuing or putting towards those tasks in the project. So you can get a little better understanding than just saying there's a dollar amount and what does that really mean. So we've made a lot of changes, I guess, at the end is what I'm trying to say, just to kind of make sure that we're accommodating. I recently talked to Kyle with some of the finance director overs that we're more than happy to put account numbers on our invoices, so we're getting them coded properly going forward because it seems like there's been some unknowns with new staff and things like that. So if there's ever any questions about our services or what we do or our task orders, I'm more than happy to sit down or answer any of those. So we just want to be as transparent as possible. And, I'm asking you to hold us accountable because that's what we're here for. And, we have a good relationship, I believe, with the city, and we just want to continue that. So I just want to say thank you for understanding and using Rupert Melke. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. And we appreciate everything you've done for us over the years. Go ahead, Trina.
Oh, no, I had a quick question. I'm trying to remember, was it 3 years ago that the city council went through the process of checking with different engineering firms just to make sure we wanted to stay with Rupert?
Yeah, that was 2019 when we reviewed and updated our master service agreement. So there was a process where there was other consultants invited to submit and costs provided and things like that. And, as I guess in today's world, as luck would have it, we were very competitive from a cost standpoint, the lowest firm. And obviously we have the history and experience with the city. So I think the decision was made to re-up our contract. So I think our master service agreement, just so everybody knows, is an automatic, I believe, annual renewal. So you have the right to give notice and switch at any time. So we're not locked in for a long period of time. So we wanted to make sure that you had some flexibility as well if there was an event that, maybe something did change your mind or maybe we didn't perform adequately. You're not locked into us for any long period of time, but we'd like it if you were.
Thank you. I just wanted to bring up that it was fairly recently that the city went through the process of comparing the different companies, and we were definitely satisfied on both price and scope. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody? Anything? Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you, Kyle and Jason. That was very helpful, I think, for everyone. Then next up is to convene to close session per 19.851E, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investment of public funds, or conducting other public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, specifically discuss potential developments in the city of Columbus. Do I have a motion?
I will make a motion to convene to closed session.
Aldermode will second.
I have a motion and a second to convene to closed session. If Jane, you'd take a roll call for us.
Hyfroom,
Aye.
Moda,
Aye.
Albright. Gray,
Aye.
McCabe, and Reed.
All right. We are now convened.